Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Back in my studio today and I've got to film, very first of all, a sketchbook tour for my patrons. I meant to do it yesterday, but I was visiting my mum and it just ended up being not one of those kind of days, so we just ended up spending time together. We went for a little walk and that was nice. But today I need to get back to it. My studio's still messy from when we were doing the colour palette, making a colour palette the other day. I'll link that video up here potentially or in the video description. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're new and you don't even know who I am, hello, I'm Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield and these are my daily-ish vlogs. And also this is my studio, my very messy studio. I mean, it's not terrible as far as mess goes, but it's, you know, it's messy enough. And because I need to do a sketchbook tour, if you don't know, I also have a Patreon page where one of the rewards is a sketchbook tour. Alongside, we also, on the same tier, we also do monthly drawing sessions on Zoom. We do, I give you monthly downloads. The downloads have already been done. I need to schedule the Zoom session, but today's job is to clear this desk to make a nice backdrop for my sketchbook tour. The sketchbook tours, I just film them and put them to music, so you get to see all of my observational sketchbooks, and they'll be all from January. So let's go on with that, I suppose. So I've got all of my January sketchbooks ready. In total, I think I filled about 3 sketchbooks worth of sketches over 4 sketchbooks. So I'm going to use this camera to be filming that. So you're not going to get to see that. If you want to ever have a look through my sketchbooks, all of the sketches that I don't put on here, no obligation, obviously. But if that's your thing and you want to have a little nosy, you can join up on my Patreon on any tier, and my tiers start at £1. And you can go to patreon.com/Emma Woodthorpe, no obligation, obviously. But you should also know that on the £1 tier, you also get, so you don't only get your sketchbook tour, you get access to the free live drawing Zooms, you get instant access to all of the recordings of our previous drawing Zooms, so loads to get on with straight away. You get access to this month's download, which includes a calendar for your computer, a calendar to print out. This month it's got some phone backgrounds, tablet background, and some printable notepads, note sheets. And you also get instant access to all of the previous ones as well. So where I've done phone backgrounds and note sheets and stuff, you can access those and you can have access to those too. Pretty good value for £1, but I totally understand if you don't want to or you can't afford it. I did keep the price low on purpose because I know we're all struggling, but that, you know, just because that's the lowest price that I can afford to do it at doesn't mean that that's still a low price for you, and I completely understand, don't feel obliged at all. But if I never mentioned it, no one would ever know that I did it. So on that note, I'm going to go and film this sketchbook tour and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so that's done and it's up for my patrons. If you were to join now, you'd have access to that. No obligation, no obligation. I know I keep mentioning Patreon, but literally it's just because if I don't mention it, no one's ever going to know that I do it. And because these are my daily vlogs, sometimes I'm doing things for my Patreon page. Don't feel obliged to join in at all. No worries. This is if you were interested, this is the illustration that I used for this month's free download. So that's one of them. This is the February desktop download, so you can save that onto the computer background, into your computer background. And yeah, so now, for the rest of the day, I really want to work on some of the thumbnails for the ideas of kids' books that I've got. So I've got a couple in the pipeline that I'd like to work on, and I'm trying to get the thumbnails done digitally. There's a couple of stories that I've got in my head, and they're going round and round and round in my head, and I've scribbled some ideas in paper. But I'm going to do what I did for the open submission to Rocketbird Books. Do you remember when I did that? I did a video. If you'd watched it, you'll probably remember. If you've been with me for a little while, sorry, you'll probably remember. There was an open submission from a publisher, and I found out about it a couple of days before the open submission. So in like 2 days, I wrote a story, thumbnailed it, like drafted it out. It was quite the feat. And it really made me realise how much is possible in a couple of days if you've got a deadline, basically. I don't have that deadline now, but I'm going to try and work as though I do. So I'll be doing that in a minute. I don't want to rush into that yet, because my studio is looking a little bit worse for wear. Sometimes when I've got a project on like this, everything else gets put on pause. So the bathroom doesn't get cleaned. My studio becomes a dumping ground. Like little things that just keep piling on. And some things that I want to sort out are my books. You know what's happened? I've just got all these books out to show you, and in the middle of them I found another sketchbook from January, so I don't know where that fits in there, but now I'm going to have to go and refilm my sketchbook tour. Oh, well, let me just tell you about these bits first, and this is what we're going to do after I've refilmed the sketchbook tour. I've got quite a few books, and if you haven't noticed over here, I've got quite a few more. I love looking through children's books and seeing how other people have done them. And I've got some amazing ones. This is a really nice one, Elsa in the Night, really beautiful. I get these from charity shops. Some of them I haven't read yet. That's a really interesting one. You don't really see many kids' books like that anymore. But basically, I don't have any space for these big ones. So I was thinking of making some shelf space, maybe up onto these shelves, just so I could access them without them just being in piles around the room. But first, I think refilming is in order. I thought there was a big gap in between the dates, but I just thought, oh, maybe I didn't sketch on those dates. Turns out I did. Okay, that is finally uploading the finished sketchbook tour. And while that does its thing in the background, I need to find somewhere to put these books. My thinking is maybe not on these shelves, because they're near the window and they do tend to get a bit kind of damp and cold damaged, but maybe here. There's like this space here that I've got a little bit of, basically I've got some things filling the space, because otherwise Rolly will jump up there and he will eat the plants. So I need to fill in all the gaps. So I filled in the gaps with sketchbooks and stuff, but they can probably go in my paper drawer. And if I move this over and that over, yeah, I think there's going to be enough space there. And I do actually have a bookend free. Oh, there might be some space up there too. Basically, I need a massive sort out. And you've seen already firsthand the problems that occur when I'm not organised. Like, things get missed, and I don't want to miss things. I want to be as organised as possible, you know, while not letting it take over my life. You know, I don't want to be like so organised that I never get anything done, because all I'm doing is tidying and organising. But there is a balance to be struck. You know, I don't want to spend all my life tidying, but I don't want to miss things. I don't want to lose stuff in my mess. So let me go and get my bookend. I'll prop you up and we'll try and make something for these to go in. By the way, these are really good. I got these the other day at that big kind of bookstore we went to near Buxton, because I've been looking for some more graphic novel type books, because, you know, it's another form of telling a story with illustrations. And, you know, it's nice to know what's available for illustrators out there. Yeah, and they were really good. The Hilda books. And what I really liked, completely accidentally, I managed to get the first and second of the series, which I always like starting a series right at the beginning. I hate it when I found that I read a book and it's like the middle of a series, even if it all makes sense. So I like that. And I read them in the right order as well, completely unaware that was the way to do it. So that was nice. But yeah, let me go and get my bookends and we're gonna get organised. That's done, and it looks pretty nice, even if I do say so myself. I'm going to have a bit of a clear out of some of my books, because some of them I'm not really, I don't want to say I don't like, but some of them I've only got limited space, let's say that. I've only got limited space, and there are some that I'm less likely to go back to and enjoy looking at, if that makes sense. So I might end up getting rid of a few, but maybe not these ones. But there are a few that I've collected from up there which definitely need to, find a new home, perhaps. The cat shelter that we got Rolly and Dave from, they've just opened up a new charity shop. So I might pop some things in a box and donate those along with them. And then it's great doing things like that, because then someone else is going to get a chance to enjoy them. The video for my Patreon is still uploading. I'm really glad that we had this tidy up though, because if we hadn't had this tidy around, I wouldn't have found that with the sketchbook. And I feel like such an idiot. But that is just the way of it sometimes. Before I get on with some iPad work, doing my thumbnails, I'm just going to quickly go online and buy some paper, because I'm completely out of office paper, which means I can't do my business records. So if you are a long-time watcher of the channel, you'll know that I am trying to catch up with myself with my business records. I used to do them every Friday, and then I got lazy, and just like with my office space, with my studio, other things kind of took the space in my head that used to be taken up by doing my business records on a Friday, and I've just got so far behind, and I like to be as up to date as possible. And when I say business records, what I mean is I've just got a spreadsheet on my computer that whenever I spend something for my small business, or whenever I make any money for my small business, I put them all in there. So at the end of the year, I've got a tally of profit loss, which is essential when you're running your own small business for keeping on top of your business records and taxes so you can pay the right taxes. So I need to really do that because that's like a silent stress which is building in my head. But I can't do them until I've got paper, so I'll quickly order some paper. And then I'm going to grab my iPad and I'm going to work downstairs because that's the benefit of having having a studio at home. And working from the iPad is great, and working downstairs on the iPad is great for me because I think I've said this before in another video. Sometimes I've got to sneak up on productivity where I can. So if I sit down at my desk and go, I have got to get this done, my brain shuts down. Like when I'm reading official documents, sometimes halfway through, my brain just goes into a high pitch ringing. I can't take any more information in. So when I'm doing projects, it's sometimes nice, and you might find this as well, if you find that you struggle getting through a project stress-free, or you have more stress than you think that you need, try sneaking up on it. So take some work and work in a cafe, or take it downstairs and sit on your sofa and do it. And that works for me sometimes. Sometimes I just end up scrolling on the internet, but today's not going to be one of those days. So let's just order some paper first and get them out of the way because that's something that I've been meaning to do for a really long time. Okay, so if you're wondering what I'm doing, I have mentioned this a little bit before. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically I am planning an idea that I have for a kid's story in thumbnails, and thumbnails are basically just small images. So this is the template that I'm working on. Ooh. And these just represent double page spreads. And when I have got my idea down, I'm translating it into this template. Let me just get rid of the images. This template, which is representative of the whole book, including the covers and the end papers. And that's what I'm going to just spend an hour doing, I think. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to get too bogged down in the detail. I'm going to try and approach it every now and then in a kind of light-hearted way, and in doing that, by not spending too long on it, I'm hoping that every time I come back to it, I approach it with fresh eyes and I can see my ideas for what they are and change them if need be, or update them or modify them. And the great thing about working in thumbnails, which I never used to like working in thumbnails, but the great thing about them is they're so easy to change, as long as you don't go into too much detail, and you really shouldn't be doing at this stage. But they're so easy to change, but they give you, I don't know, if you're a visual person like I am, I think it gives you more of an idea of what the story will be like rather than just reading notes. So you can kind of see how the book will look every page turn. And also you'll be able to print these out and stick them together to make a tiny little dummy book, a little maquette, to see what they look like. I am a long way away from that with this idea, but I'm going to just sit down, grab my cuppa and work through it bit by bit in a stress-free way. And because that's probably going to be really boring for you to look at, because I'm not going to be able to show you this because this is like a work in progress type situation, I am going to call this video done here. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've ever got any questions or anything that you'd like me to talk about or you want my take on, get them into the video comments, and the chances are I will use them in a video to answer. Because if you're thinking about these things, no doubt other people are thinking about them as well. So get your questions and your comments and things in the video description, and I will look through them and I'll use those as as little sections in future upcoming videos. It's always helpful for me, so thanks for that. If you've ever asked me a question or you've, you know, suggested things, do let me know in the video description. It does help. It helps me plan out some daily vlogs for you that are obviously going to be interesting to you, because they involve questions that you're thinking about and you're asking. But yeah, as for this video, I'm going to call this done here, so I'll catch you in the next one. So until then, bye.